Services.
And now for something completely different.
There are no safe spaces here. The truth shall make you free. So you want the truth, but can you handle the truth? And what did we learn? Well, here's another fine mess you've gotten us into.
The Craig L. Hayes Show. Just thinking, where we talk about everything else.
Well, hello, America, family, friends, and listeners all around this planet we call home. This is the Craig L. Hayes Show. Just thinking, where we talk about everything else. And the reason I have that tag on there is very simple. I have 3 podcasts. One is called Main Street, the Craig L. Hayes Show, where we just talk to everyday folk and we get their life story and the history of the area that they live in. And it's an awesome podcast. Listen to people's stories of their lives. And then I have one called It's Showtime, the Craig L. Hayes Show. The Craig L. Hayes Show. Jeez. And that one talks about everything about, well, showbiz. My life in show business. 50 years of being in show business. And finally retired out of it. And all the people I've worked with and their stories and where they came from. They're both very interesting. They're both on YouTube. So if you have a chance, go ahead and listen to it there. Pull up whatever you'd like. This one is more political, philosophical, scientific. It's all the things that I find interesting to talk about when I'm not interviewing other people. This is just me. That's a scary place to be, just me, by myself, being allowed to say what I want and not having to be careful. Well, maybe a little bit careful. Anyhow, folks, good to have you here. It's July 16th, 2026. And we're coming to you once again from the very wet Northern Command here in Enterprise, Utah. And we're going to put this out here and we're going to get this going. I'm going to call this one All Things Immigration. Because I was going to take these topics individually, but let's just combine it all together and just talk about immigration and all the different aspects of it. The Supreme Court has had a couple rulings. One I totally agreed with. One I was dumbfounded that we'd have so-called conservatives on the court that would side with Democrats. You know, and Democrats, they just hate the country, so anything they can do to destroy it, that's exactly what they will do. You know, Kagan, Sotomayor, and the dumbest DEI hire we've ever had. What's her name? Brown Jackson. Oh, that is one dumb person. Dumbest. How did I don't know how she could get a degree, a law degree, as dumb as she is, and yet be put onto a court. It's so important in America. Unless you have a total vegetable of a president that is totally unaware of anything that's going on around him other than he likes chocolate chip pie. That was Biden. That's right. That was Biden's. So that's how we got her. Yep. That's how we got her. And she's a party loyalist. She's going to promote everything this Democrat, Marxist, communist, because that's who they are. That's what the Democrat Party is. Communists, fascists, and Nazis. What do you mean Nazis? Well, you guys supported, defended, and were voting for an actual Nazi that was running for the Senate in Maine. And you guys have the balls to call Donald Trump a Nazi. Jeez. You guys crack me up. If you weren't so damn dangerous to this nation and to our freedom, liberty, and our sovereignty, I'd be able to laugh at you a lot more. But you have to be destroyed. You have to be crushed. You have to be pushed out of here somehow, some way, and never be allowed to have power. That's the objective of us constitutionally conservative libertarians. So anyways, all things immigration. Let's just start real quick by 2 rulings. The court ruled the other day, Supreme Court, that protective status. People who came here because situations were dire in the nation that they were living. It's a temporary status. It's usually for about somewhere up to 18 months. They're allowed to come here and they're allowed to stay here safely. And then when things get better in the nation that they came out of, they're supposed to go back. Well, some of these people have been here for 20 years, 25 years. The court said you're allowed to send them back home because it's temporary. And Democrats said, no, they're permanent. They should be here. They should be allowed to stay here forever. No, it's okay. It's a dictionary. If you pull it out, there's two words in here. There's one called permanent, and there's a definition there. And then there's another one called temporary, and there's a definition there. Temporary means you're only allowed to be protected from being deported for a short period of time. Temporary. Huh. I didn't know I was going to have to teach Democrats English too, and grammar or whatever. Anywho, of course, they could all be sent back because it is granted as a temporary situation for them. And, of course, the usual suspects, all the Democrats marched out crying about it and saying the court is overstepped, the court is overreached. Here's what I want done. Unless we find some other reason why, I want every single one of those people that are here on temporary protective status to be sent back to their nation. I want 300,000 Haitians gone. I want 80,000 Somalians gone. I want 5,000 Syrians gone. And anybody else who came here and was granted temporary status, I want it looked at and gone. Bye. Beat it. Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. Your time has long passed by being allowed to stay here. End of story. Problem solved. Send them all home. Now you can reapply to come back over here as a legal alien, and that could be in consideration as you'd already been here. I don't have a problem with that, but leave. You're done. Bye. I want all illegals sent home. Every single one of them. I don't care if you have a family here now. I don't care if you've been here for 50 years or 40 years or 30 years or 20 years, and you've got family, you've got kids like this. If you came here illegally, you need to leave, and leave now. Bye-bye. Let me silence that. One thing I didn't do. Anyhow, the other ruling from the Supreme Court was on birthright citizenship. Give me a second. We had two betrayers to the Constitution, Kavanaugh and Barrett, come out and side with the three communists of the Democrats and say that even if you came here, and even if your parents came here illegally, and you were born here, you're a citizen, which is in direct opposition to what it says in the 14th Amendment. 14th Amendment is very specific about that. It says nothing about children born here to illegal aliens. In fact, when it was put together back in, 1868? It said just the opposite. The people that were debating it said this does not apply to people who came here. It doesn't apply to ambassadors. It doesn't apply to people who are visiting. It doesn't apply to people who are here illegally. It's very specifically, it said this is basically based on the people who came here, forced to come here, slaves, and their children, granting them that they are actually citizens because they are here and were forced to be here. Not that they broke a law coming here, but they came here of not their own free will. End of story. It's one of those Civil War amendments, 13, 14, and 15. 13 that granted them freedom, 14 that gave them citizenship, 15 gave them the right to vote and all that stuff. See, that's all it is. But Barrett and Kavanaugh, the betrayers and the traitors to the Constitution and to the laws of the land and to the American citizen, and taking and destroying the value of being a citizen. And people say, how does that done? Well, if anybody can just come here anytime they want and drop a baby, and that baby is a citizen, then what is the big deal about being a citizen? If American citizenship is the greatest privilege, honor, reward, whatever you want to call it, then why do we pass it out so freely and so recklessly? So this is going to have to be looked at again down the road. this tourist, birthing tourism, basically, where China's sending over, 50 to 100,000 people at a time each year to drop a baby, and that baby becomes now a citizen, and then that baby's born, it's raised in China, taught to hate America, it comes back here to America. Anytime it wants to, it can join the military, and it's loyal to the Communist Party of China. That's right. They're loyal Chinese. They're not Americans. But anyhow, folks, that takes and makes it so that they can join our military. They will take and sell us out in 2 seconds because their loyalty is to China. It's not to us. And that's true of any nation. So you just now de facto granted millions and millions of people the ability to come here and just swarm the system, get citizenship by coming here illegally. Democrats cheered this one. I know. Are you surprised too? I was. I saw that. I was like, I can't believe that. The Democrats usually wouldn't do something like that. Well, the Democrats of 20 years ago or 30 years ago would be aghast at it and want to put legislation out to stop this. Democrats today, who are communists and traitors to the Constitution, love it because it helps destroy this nation. Destroys our culture, destroys our nation, destroys our sovereignty. They love it. So 2 bad rulings need to be changed. The Congress or somebody's got to fix this stuff. State Department has to just start denying all people who come here that, I'd put it very simply. Just tell everybody, any female that's coming here that's able to give birth, that's coming here on a temporary visa, like a visitor's visa, and if they're 7 months pregnant or 8 months pregnant, say nope. Sorry, when you come back, you can come back after you've dropped your baby, and but you're not going to have the baby here in this country, and if you don't like that, we don't really care, and don't come here. So I think we need to put a moratorium completely on all immigration. I think we need 10 years of no immigration any way, shape, form whatsoever. Send all these people back. Send all the illegals back. Send everybody back that's on temporary protective status. Clean this country out. Let's get back to the foundations of this nation and set things straight. And while we're doing that, let's work on the H-1B visas where we bring people. Mainly, why is it always so many Indians, people from India? They're taking advantage of this. And then they get on the H4, the F4, the H4, where they're allowed to bring their families over also and displace American workers. Now, anybody who really stands up for that and thinks it's the greatest thing on the planet to bring people over here because Americans can't do it, you're full of crap. I'm going to tell you right now. You're trying to tell me that somebody in India is more qualified. We have computer programmers in this country that can't get employed in this country because these companies go and find people in India that work for half the price and bring them over here and put them to work. While our Americans sit there and collect unemployment, other people are employed in these industries because corporations want to make so much more money and profit at the expense of the American people. And the H-1B visa program, send all of them back. Send all their families back. You're all gone. You're gone. Everybody's cleaned out. Now, if we really need to have people who are specialists from other countries, and we really, really, really can't find somebody in this country that can do the work, not base it on the price, but base it on the work. Let's base this on the work. Can this person who has a specialty in a certain field, can they do the work and they live in this country and they're a citizen, but they're going to charge you $300,000 a year to do that job, and you're not allowed to say, well, that's too much. I'm going to go hire somebody from India because I want to pay someone, $100,000 or $150,000 instead. And I'm going to bring 2 people over at the same price. No. I think the bottom line on anything like that should be is the minimum wage for any kind of high-tech job that you're going to try to bring somebody in there by saying that Americans, we can't find anybody American to do it. The minimum price on that to your company should be $200,000 salary. And then every year, it should go up another 10% to make sure that if you're bringing them, that's because that's really the only person you can find that's able to do it in the entire world. That's one problem solved. Let's see, what else did I have? I wrote down a couple lines. Yeah, so there's two SCOTUS things I completely disagree with. One of them, we're being screwed over, people, by our own government. And it's Democrats are leading the way for the most part. And the scary thing about it is Republicans are apt to go along with a lot of this stuff because they have businesses, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, all these different corporations that rely on cheap labor, and they know that illegals basically will work for less than Americans will, depend on that cheap labor. Whereas the Democrats want these people to come over here, and then they want them to vote. And can you guess on which party that they want these people to vote for? So it's just a source of millions of people giving them more votes, illegally, of course, because they're not allowed to vote, but Democrats make sure that they do anyway, because illegals, because the Democrats hate this country. They love illegals, they love criminals, they love anybody who hates this country as much as them, and anybody who wants to take advantage of it and will vote for them, they support. It's just that simple. Sexual predators, murderers, criminals of all kinds. That's the Democrat Party. That's the Communist Democrat Party. All very simple. But anyhow, folks, I think I've rambled on about this. I've given you my thoughts on it and hope you think about it. Do some research. Don't listen to a single thing that I'm saying. Don't believe a single thing I'm saying, because you deserve to have your own opinions on it, and you need to discover that and the truth of it on your own. But that's about it, folks. Really enjoyed this topic. Some more of my thoughts on how everything, let's see, a cornucopia of immigration ideas, starting with everything I believe in there. Anyhow, folks, enjoy talking with you. Hope you enjoy some ideas that I put out there, and hopefully it makes you think a little bit. Until then,
you've been listening to the Craig L. Hayes Show, Just Thinking.